Now we're going to look at things from the student perspective, and we're going to start right from the beginning and joining the classroom. Once you log into Google Classroom, you'll come to a dashboard much like this. The student's just going to click the plus sign and enter the unique class code provided to them by the teacher. Once they enter the class code and join the class will then appear in their desktop. Once they enter into the classroom, they're going to see their stream with all the lessons and everything that they had assigned by the teacher. There's some things in the stream right now that I added in there so that we can see how they're working. You notice the missing assignments is because they were due on the 18th, but we're just going to ignore that for now. The student will be able to click on any lesson in the stream to be able to open it. Once they open it, they're going to see that there's a quizzes assigned, and then they can add any files for their work. In order to start the assignment, they would just click on the link provided. Going back to the stream, we're going to look at that lesson that we assigned earlier in the training, the Intro to HTML lesson. Once a student opens it, they're going to find their instructions and each link that they would need to complete that lesson. They can click on the PowerPoint to open the PowerPoint and click on Use Certify to launch Use Certify. Once they launch Use Certify, they'll come to their sign-in screen where they can sign in, or they can, any of the linked accounts that they have up here, they can use those as well. Once logged into Use Certify, they'll select their course, and they won't see student or instructor tools. They'll just see student view and the student account, and they'll enter into it, navigate to the chapter that was assigned, and begin the chapter, which was Introduction to HTML. Once they log in, they can begin reading. You'll notice up here this little green dot. I've already visited this page, but if it was a new page, that green dot wouldn't be there because that is a reading indicator to ensure that the student is reading the material. The reading indicator is actually a measurable piece of data that will tell the instructor whether the student is doing the reading or not. As you can scroll down, you can see the student has many options. They can watch a video, or simply read the video transcript to the right. We'll go ahead and stop that for now, but as you can see, they add music and make it very interesting. To proceed through the lessons, they simply need to click Next. As you see down here at the bottom of the screen, there's going to be cards and a quiz. As they navigate the lesson, they can attempt any of the cards or quizzes that they want to see how well they're doing retaining the information from the lesson. As a teacher, you can assign the mastery level of the quizzes before they can progress on to the next lesson. Let's take a look at the flashcards. Once they log into the flashcards, it's just a study drill. They can click Start, and they actually self-grade them. If they're able to identify what a block level element is in their own words, and they feel that they successfully answered that question, they can mark it correct or incorrect. If they mark it incorrect, they'll be able to redo the question until they can get it correct. It's just like virtual flashcards. The quizzes, on the other hand, is the students able to assess themselves in a quiz base, so a multiple choice type assessment to tell them how well they're doing in the lesson. As you can see, this one was already started, so they can continue with the last test session or terminate the test session and begin again. Let's go ahead and go back to the dashboard to take a look at what else the students have at their disposal. Okay, every U Certified course begins with a pre-assessment to identify what the kids already know before they start going through the chapter and the contents. And then they have practice tests. These practice tests are certification preparatory exams. The students will be given a series of questions, and each one will match a lesson principle or a standard. And there might be 5 or 6 questions that go with that standard. A student achieves mastery when they can consistently answer questions correctly that focus on that standard. It'll periodically throw that standard back into the question fold to make sure that students are retaining knowledge, but once they reach mastery, they're set on to a new set of questions. Over here on the right side of the screen is the student planner. The student planner tells them, based on the start date, how far they're progressing towards a target date. Well, we didn't start this lesson in 15 August, so we're surely not going to meet the 1 June. But if you're starting a new school year, you would enter the start date of that school year and the target date when the student needs to be able to certify. And you certify will let the student and the teacher know how well the student's progressing and what the student needs to do to progress successfully towards the target. Certificate of completion is when a student's achieved 90 or better. However, you can set that percentage to any percentage that's acceptable for you. So you can move it down to 70% if that's what you're required from your students. And the last section is test history and performance analytics. This shows how well the student's been performing on the test questions and the quizzes and give you an idea of how ready they are to take their certification test. When the student opens a study planner, they're going to be given a more in-depth information on their performance and how well they're doing and the things that they need to do. Here's the plan. The students help set this plan when they're assigning their course and their goals. And they also answer questions where they feel they're ready to take the exam. And here's where the student has access to all of the things that they have at their disposal to prepare to be certified in web design. All right, let's go ahead and go back to Google Classroom to show how we would finish the assignment that was assigned to us in the LMS. All I did was click the tab at the top of the screen to go back to the Google Classroom. Once you're back into the Google Classroom, when a student is finished, they'll go ahead and mark as done. But if there's any files that needed to be turned in from the assignment, the student can drag and drop by clicking the Add button, and they'll choose whether they're adding a file, a link, or something from their Google Drive. But once you're finished with the assignment, all you have to do is click Mark as Done. There's a reminder, making sure the student didn't need to turn in any work, with Mark as Complete. This will send a message to the teacher, and if they have notifications turned on their cell phone or their smartphone, it'll notify them over their smartphone that the student turned in the lesson. If student forgot to submit something, they could unsubmit the file to be able to add files to it, or unsubmit the assignment and add files to it at a later time. Or if you needed them to rework something, they can unsubmit and then resubmit their work when it's completed. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit, and here's an area for the student to add a private comment to the instructor. They might say, I had some troubles understanding HTML. Could you you explain more? The teacher will immediately receive that message and be able to respond to the student appropriately. Very awesome for communication. Once a student feels comfortable that they've completed the assignment, they can navigate back to the classroom. And remember, we had a quick check quiz that we assigned as well. And that's up here, the Intro to HTML Lesson Check. We can go ahead and click that and begin the lesson by taking the quick quizzes. So there you have it. That's how the student will navigate the LMS